Really, when somebody believes in you more than you believe yourself, your capacity to grow increases.
Welcome back to Case Studies. I'm with two of my dear friends, Tim Miller and Ty Nielson, the founders and president / CEO of Ninja Kids. What's your real title? You guys give each other titles right now.
I think just co-founders right now.
Co-founders? Mm-hmm. Strong. It's a strong title. I like that. So we just got back. So a couple things like that we have going on. We just got back from going to Tony Robbins together. Talk to me about Tony Robbins. Talk to me about like your expectation versus the experience.
To be honest, I didn't know much about Tony Robbins at all. I came in very naive, hadn't watched a lot of his videos, very excited with the group we were going with.
Yeah.
And just came in, and I did make a commitment. And, we had some friends in the tech say, hey, go all in, do the jumps, do the cheers, just go all in.
Yeah.
And I did and walked away with that. It was a magical moment, and I think I believe that it's going to be a catalyst for my life, how I perceive, how I go about my mornings, being more deliberate. I think it only works if you do it. And I'm very motivated to do it. And I was very inspired by him and by the group we were with.
Yeah. I played full out, all in. And my voice is different today because it's still gone. From day 2, I lost it, just going crazy. And I wanted out of it to get to another state, just get more excited about life, get more fired up. And I got that. And I got half of it from Tony and half of it from the guys we were with.
Yep.
Those guys I love to death now.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot. We obviously, the reason that we got to invest in your company, I think 99% of it had to do with just we have shared values. Mm-hmm. I think ultimately, that was why we got to invest. Was 100%. Just shared values, myself, Todd, the Sandlot crew. It
absolutely.
Was you guys saying we could take money from anybody. We have shared values with you and we like to be on the journey with you. We'd like you to be on the journey with us. And I think I've been thinking about that specifically with Tony Robbins, with you going back and doing the Harvard program that was so important to me in my career. And just thinking about kind of this principle of constant and never-ending improvement. I'm excited to get into your journey and your story because I think you guys have such a unique, special entrepreneurial story that I think when we do this next year and the year after and the year after, I'll predict what's going to happen on this podcast, and I'll have you guys kind of chime in on what you see the vision of your company. But when we fast forward, I think we're going to look back and say, wow, that is a big company. That's a $1 billion company that came out of Utah. That's just a force. And there's some interesting, this podcast is case studies. There's some interesting case studies about taking an existing business model, innovating around marketing, innovating around customer engagement, innovating around brand, about creativity, all sorts of stuff. So excited to jump into that. But I want to go first to just kind of the mindset, because again, we kind of went out and give me kind of the breakdown of the experience. What, for somebody who hasn't been to a Tony Robbins event, what is that experience?
Starting out with shared values. We were there with a group who had shared values. And so you're the energy starts with Tony, but then it goes to everyone around you.
So we had a great group. It was you guys that Sandlot's invested in. It was John Taylor and Garth that has a pest control company that Sandlot had invested in, that we think that's going to be a phenomenal company. We had James has built kind of a multi-$100 million business with eAssist. He just invested in our restaurant platform. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You've got Kevin, that's the co-founder of that's the creator. And then you had Dave, my business partner. And then you had Kelton and Zach. Mm-hmm. That Zach, is such a special person for me. It was fun for you guys to meet Zach. But Zach Anderson, he was, for me, this was a 15-year-old kid that's skinny and awkward, and he is stocking my fridge at 15 years old. Literally, I'm paying him $10 an hour, and he's reading books. And now I fast forward 10 years, and he's making 7 figures. He's a bona fide leader of people, and you can see it. You can feel it. He's a phenomenal leader.
He's one of one.
But he's also like crazy capable. He's, I look at Zach as like an example of somebody that is getting the compounded benefit of reading a book a week for 10 years and applying that in a really hard job with door-to-door sales and getting the benefit. So you've got Zach and you've got another kid named Kelton, that same thing, young leader, crazy successful. And that was our group. That was our cohort.
Don't forget Dougie Fresh. I mean,
and
Doug
and Dougie's one-on-one, and Doug, again, special friend. I met Doug when he was fresh off his mission. He went out and sold for half a summer. His dad got cancer. He went home, spent time with his dad. His dad passed away. And Doug's kind of been like, I've been like a big brother to Doug. And, Doug's family to me. And so it's so fun to have that group. We flew out on my plane. You've got 4.5 hours just chatting it up and just feeling the vibes. And then you go, and Tony's 15 hours a day. Like it's
no food.
Like no food.
It's a 270 calorie power bar.
It's kind of like insane to like even talk about it, because you're like,
and he keeps the room. That wasn't a degree above 55 degrees. So it's cold.
No, you're in West Palm Beach in August, and you're wearing hoodies and pants, and it's cold, so there's this science that he brings to it. And his whole thing is around physiology. He says it's state first. Like it's state first, then it's your story and making sure that you have a story that serves you well. And then it's the strategy. And,
I will say, Bob, that, sitting on your plane felt like a real full circle moment for us. In 2014, Doug was the top of the company. Like the top of Vivint. Everybody's watching Doug's videos. He's on every weekly meeting, sending messages out. And I was like a, above average door knocker. And I was in Justin Bell's office, and you came to a morning meeting one time and just lit us up. And really, I believe like that was the start of my entrepreneurial journey, that I saw somebody that I had amazing mentors growing up, and they were career guys, UPS, Coca-Cola, that would work for these companies, executives, and they built beautiful lives. But this was the first time I saw an entrepreneur.
Yeah. This
guy just fired up, telling us that he just turned down $20 million to stay with Vivint because he believes in the vision, and just like jaw on the floor. Like this is the kind of person I want to be like. And I'm finishing my degree at LSU. So then fast forward to today, I'm sitting on this plane, I'm looking at Casey Baugh, like my hero, this guy who's untouchable in 2014, Doug, and like surrounded by just people I love and have loved for a long time. That was freaking special.
Kind of magical, huh?
It was magical. And then you get in there and you're with James. James is a giant. And if you meet James, this is not a guy who's going to be jumping as high as he can possibly jump, pumping his fist in the air. That's just not his nature.
Yeah.
But we were chest bumping. We were flying. We were, pounding our chest, yelling, yes, let's freaking go. And like when Tony stands up there and says, like, he basically like metaphorically hands you a permission slip that says, you can do whatever you want to do in this room. You can say whatever you want to say. You can yell as loud as you want. You can jump in the air. You can move your body.
Yeah.
And what I found is after he gave me the permission slip to do whatever I wanted, my brain started to tell me, like subconsciously, you can think whatever you want.
Yeah, you can think whatever you want.
You can set whatever goal you want to set. You can have any idea you want to have. And that's when massive breakthroughs happened for both of us in our company that we're excited to implement, because we were given the license to, in that state, in our best state.
Yeah.
And then things that felt like they were important to us or tough or challenges, they disappeared in our minds. And all we could think about is, how much do I love our guest, our customer? And how are we going to over deliver for them? And that goes like our customer a lot of times is our people, not even just the people that come to our parks, but the people that we hire.
Your internal customers.
How can we fall in love with them? How can we over deliver for them?
Yep.
And like that framework,
powerful.
It was powerful.
Tony does a really good job. I mean, setting an environment, giving permission to where, somebody like Zach, not in a million years would we hang out in Utah, or we're just kind of living different lives. Yep. And then we're brought together. And thankfully, Casey, you have a lot of fingerprints that brought so many people together to where you're hugging this guy that you barely know, but you have genuine love for him, and you see what he's doing and how committed he is to betterment and improvement. And, that night where we were kind of all sitting around the table sharing some highlights, and he got emotional, and it was just really powerful. And I'm just so grateful that, Tony's a part of it, and Casey, you're a part of it to bring a community together. That is really, really powerful and authentic.
Yeah, he had a story that he tells that I heard it for the first time 7 years ago, and it was so profound to me. He talks about this principle of proximity is power. And he talks about being a young guy, really young guy, kind of low 20s, and he kind of gets involved with this really well-to-do crowd, 100 millionaires, billionaire crowd. That's a close group of friends that they take these annual trips together. And they're kind of these we're going to go explore the world type trips. And you just don't get invited to that group. It is a closed group. And his buddy, who, owns the Golden State Warriors and owns a piece of, LA Galaxy and these different things, invites him to this, on this trip. And this is a point, I love his concept of being a business operator, a business owner, and the different life cycles of a business. Yeah. It's just a really good paradigm or frame to think about your business. But he talked about that point in his career, and he's like, I wasn't a business guy. I didn't have business acumen. I was a guy who got into business to go change people's lives. And I was doing that, but my business was terrible, and the idea of leaving that business for a week to 2 weeks, it was like he's Atlas holding up the world, and if he steps away, that thing will completely crumble, which is a really bad sign for your business. If you can't step away, if you don't have the right team that can actually go support the business, you don't have a business, you have a job. And he has this kind of insecure conversation with this, friend of his, and his friend's like, hey, are you in? He's like, let me check my calendar. And there's this pause. And he's like,
calendar.
Tony, you don't get invited to this group. And he's like, no, what I meant was let me put it on. I gotta schedule it. I need to write it into my calendar to make sure nothing else gets in. But then he goes through these very human emotions of how do I pay for this? Am I I'm so insecure being around these amazing people. They're so much better than me. They're so much smarter than me. And, and so he goes on this trip, and he says he's stressing the whole time and feels, out of place, and then has this interaction with this one guy who was kind of a billionaire guy. And the guy kind of gets after him and just says hey, everywhere we go, you have people coming up saying, you're Tony Robbins. I want a picture with you. He's like, I'm a billionaire. No one knows who I am. How does everybody in the world know you and love you? But then he starts talking to him, and he says, hey, I get the feeling that you don't think you belong here. Which is really, I think that talks to the heart of all of us. I think all of us, there's this imposter syndrome, or there's this interesting bias that somebody's better than us or smarter than us or more professional than us. And, it's I'm not enough. And he just said you have special gifts and, you belong here. And I think having somebody that believes in you more than you believe in yourself is just so powerful. But then that second principle is hang out with inspiring people and you'll be inspired. And I think that was one of my takeaways from that weekend was just, man, everybody on that plane was just doing really inspiring things with their life. They were striving. They were going for it in their own, you know, and I'm like, when you're around those people, all you take from it is I want to be better, you know.
Proximity is power, like could sound wrong to a certain person, but like it rolls off the tongue nicely. When you think about power, like it's almost like energy that you're getting from these people on that plane. Like I even felt the first time I was on your plane, I felt uncomfortable. I remember kind of like everything was uncomfortable. How am I sitting, you know? But spending time with that group and feeling comfortable and feeling like I belong, like I could relate with Tony there.
I remember I got a call from Todd Peterson. This was 2 or 3 years ago. And he's like, hey, we're going to Finland to go meet this guy who's like this crypto billionaire. And he's like, do you want to come? And it was the same type of thing. I was coming back from somewhere, was busy with work, and it's an impromptu trip to Europe, you know. And I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And so we go and we get on Todd's plane. It's Global 650. And it was experiencing that was something that I was like, this is a different planet. There's like, there's a different way to live. And I remember like they had, you know, this amazing meal catered. We're going down with this group and you're just looking at everybody in the group and they're so impressive. And you fly direct from Provo to Finland. And halfway through, you got this stewardess that's like making up your bed with a down comforter and turn off the lights. And I'm like, what planet am I living on? And then you know, we go to Finland and then we fly to Paris. Yeah. And we're eating at the sickest restaurants and you fly home and you're like, I mean, I'm fundamentally changed from that trip because you experience life differently and you say, man, I'm not dreaming big enough, you know, like there's more to do. But I think being around people that are sending at a different level is just it. Yeah.
I remember the first time meeting with you and you're like, guys, let's go build $1 billion company. And Tim and I are like, easy, Tiger. Like, let's get to 20 million. You're like, that sounds insane to us. And it sounded insane for months. And just as we've grown, and like, why would we not?
When did the thought become a thing? Yeah. Like, when did this idea
what would you
say, we're actually going to go do this?
Yeah. Before I get to that, you know, Casey, you talked about shared values, and that's kind of how we got aligned. And I just want to say, you know, when we walk into a meeting with you or Dave or Todd or just any of the Sandlot team, like we walk away feeling so inspired and like genuinely, you know, at a certain point, I think you check the financial box of like, okay, we can, if nothing else happens, we're good for the rest of our lives. But then you like realize what really motivates me and what genuinely motivates me. Part of it, at least, is like doing you proud, you know, doing Sandlot proud, because I'm so inspired by you guys.
How cool is that? I had the same experience. I remember being 25 years old, getting recruited to go work at Vivint, and it was Todd and Alex, and those guys were probably a decade older than me, a decade to 15 years older than me. And they gave me $100,000 as a signing bonus to come over, which at that point felt like $10 million. Like it was all the money that I had, you know? And I remember even more than like the success, I just wanted to make them proud. Like I wanted them to look back and say, that was the best investment I've ever made. And it motivated me more than the money. Like when I was out grinding at night, the money was a nice byproduct of being successful, but it had more to do with like, these guys bet on me and these guys believed in me and I will not let them down. And so like when you're vocalizing that, like I've just lived that and experienced it, and that motivation is really pure. Yeah. So it's coming from a great place, you know, it's coming from a place of like duty and loyalty and responsibility and even just personal like validation and growth. It's like, this person believed in me. I want to validate them
Yeah,
that they
absolutely.
were right. They were 100% right.
And that's actually like the theme of our entire story is people believing in us. Like from the time we met to today is people believing us, even if it's like the person at the Tesla shop. You know?
So maybe let's go back to the beginning, because I'd love to hear how you guys met and became friends, because I think that's partnerships are really hard. Like I've had so many partnerships and great partnerships, some not so great, and partnerships are everything. Like I was having a combo with Dave this morning. It was a harder conversation. We don't see the issue the same way. Mm-hmm. And we're working through it. And you can work through hard issues if you have shared values. You know what I mean? If you know at our core, we are 100% on the same page. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. Mm-hmm. It's just about like creating a great product and service and company. You can go work through the issues. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But talk to me about like your kind of beginnings. One, where each of you guys grew up. And then two, how did you meet and kind of how did you sustain that relationship over time?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in St. George, Utah, and had a great upbringing, great family. Mom was very focused on church and making sure that my religious life got that check, and very middle class. Not a lot of, we didn't want for much, but there wasn't a lot of extra to go around. And in fact, there was probably a lot of times where there was stress that was caused by financials, and went to school and just kind of floated through life, tried to do the very best I can, picked up golf, got really into golf, and that was a hobby of mine, and thought I was going to go play college golf and maybe.
Phenomenal golfer.
It was a past life, but had an awesome upbringing and knew that I always wanted to go on a mission, went and served, and got called to Russia, Moscow.
Wow.
And that's actually, first day in the MTC, get dropped off, say goodbye to your parents. So there's all types of emotions going through you. And I get escorted into a classroom, and I'm assigned to Elder Ty Nielson as my MTC companion.
MTC.
Crazy. That's so crazy.
First companion.
Yeah.
What a gift.
Us meeting was just God's hand, as part of the plan. And I get emotional thinking about that moment and just my childhood in general. We moved a lot growing up. My dad's job brought us through Russia and spent some time there. So prior to my mission, and then ended up in North Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia.
Yep.
Where I just had the best life. Like I look at my childhood, I did what I wanted. My parents gave us a lot of autonomy. We were good kids. Church and religion was non-negotiable. Working hard was non-negotiable. But we just had an awesome life. And I was a wrestler in high school that really impacted me. And I could have a 10-hour discussion about what wrestling did for me. But the main thing it did for me is a guy, world champion from like 1980, the youngest world champion at the time, Lee Kemp, showed up out of nowhere into my life and took me under his wing. And he's like, hey, we're going to freaking wrestle every day between my junior and senior year. We wrestled literally on Christmas Eve, Christmas morning. Like this guy had me wrestling every day for a year. And the power of that mentor is the first time I really saw like, wow, somebody can come into your life, believe in me, say, listen, like forget everything you know about wrestling and just whatever I say, do it. And I went all in. I gave that effort. And it was transformative to my wrestling career, but really just my mindset that there's so much more inside me. And that really when somebody believes in you more than you believe yourself, your capacity to grow increases. Mm-hmm. And went on the mission. Tim was my MTC companion, and then we were companions in the field. So we were 6 months of 2 years. A fourth of our mission was together. And we battled. I mean, we were in the trenches together in Moscow. And we've discussed this recently. The biggest lesson we learned was before your mission, you're kind of selfish. You're just a kid. Like you're thinking about yourself. And then you get thrown into Moscow, Russia, and you have to figure out like this is a hard people. Like they have big walls up emotionally. And we figured out how to love somebody that we don't know. That wasn't family, wasn't somebody that was like a a romantic relationship. This was just a guy on the street that we love. And regularly, one specific time I can remember, like we were on a high. We were like in Tony Robbins state, just feeling so much love for these people. We just got out of an incredible meeting. We're walking home, and this guy is walking down the stairs. We're walking up the stairs out of the metro station, and he spits on our feet. He said, you discussing sectante. I think it means like cultists. You cultists. And we were like taken back. We were like on a massive high, and this guy spits on our feet. And we're walking to our apartment. It's like, wait, what just freaking happened? That guy has no clue we love him. Like so much we love that guy. And like that lesson has served us really well. Like I can look at people in my life now that I just love so much, and they're not family, they're not blood. And that's what our mission did for us, amongst a lot of other lessons.
You really start to learn principles of like loyalty and trust, not when things are going incredibly well, but like when you're kind of in the trenches, things are hard.
You're grinding.
Yeah. And you can be next to somebody that it's like, I know that you know exactly how I feel and I know how you feel, and like, let's get after it. 'Cause it wasn't, easy. I think I can count on almost one finger how many, baptisms we had over there in Russia. But the idea of learning these principles that ultimately, at the time you don't know, but you look back and you see these dots connect. You see these relationships formed and the trust. And that mission has, like many things, but that mission changed my life profoundly. Like there's two ways we can go here, and I'm so glad that I took that jump.
That's so cool. So you guys crushed the mission. I'm intrigued with Ukraine, Moscow, like that's, front and center in the world today.
Yeah.
I think, when we're filming this yesterday, Trump did a summit at the White House with Zelensky, all the kind of top European leaders. Last week he did one with Putin in Alaska, trying to go broker, peace agreement. But what was it like being in Russia? Like what are the Russian people like? You know what I mean? You've got post-USSR, kind of a time and season where religion was just not a part of the mix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ty kind of said it, that there's this wall. There's this analogy of, Russian people would say that that Americans are a little bit like peaches. They're soft on the outside and maybe a little superficial or fake. Where Russians, they would say they're like kind of like pineapples. They're really hard on the outside, rough. But once you can kind of break into that core and get into the middle, get into their hearts.
Yeah.
They're some of the greatest people, but it's hard. We spent our whole missions there, and some people you just
never break.
Don't open that door to you. But trying to understand where they've been, and there was a time where they couldn't openly practice religion, or they couldn't really openly disagree with the government, and so they would be very standoffish, and they would not talk to you unless there was some sort of trust built. And but great people, incredible people to this day, just who we stay in contact with, just incredible human beings with incredible hearts.
Yeah.
And I can't really explain like my love for the Russian people. I spent some time as a kid there and then went back, and I just felt like, man, God wanted me there.
I remember that story. So tell me about that. What was your dad doing, or what was your family doing when you were living in Russia as a kid?
My dad, incredible guts, along with my mom. It was 1993, like post-Soviet Union. My dad took a job there with Pepsi Cola.
Wow. Early.
There's no landlines for my mom to call home and say, hey, to her own mom. Like they were sacrificing to build a beautiful life. And my dad worked for Pepsi Cola for a year there. And then, and we were diehard Pepsi. And then my dad comes home one day to this like dinky apartment in Himki, Russia. And he opens the door. We're waiting for him. I'm 5. I remember like really well. My brother's 7. And he opens the door and he's wearing all red. Coca-Cola hat, toting like a Coca-Cola crate.
Switched.
He switched. It was like Darth Vader shit. We were in tears.
You didn't like it. You didn't like it.
Oh, we were devastated. Me and my brother. But then he was career in Coca-Cola all the way through. He did some amazing things in Russia, and like as a kid, like my best friend was named Dima. He did not speak English. I didn't speak Russian. We were best friends. That's how we just communicated. I have no clue how. I don't really remember not talking with him, but I wasn't. And it's actually one of my biggest desires is to like find Dima again. He lived in an apartment probably not much bigger than this space that we're sitting in. No shower, sink, toilet. Family shared a bed.
No shower.
Yeah. And they kind of like came close to the church. My parents came close to them, and to this day, I have no clue where the guy is. You leave in 1996.
That's it.
No clue where this guy is. I just want to find him.
Yeah.
Anyway, fell in love with the people then, and then I opened my mission call, and I'm just overwhelmed.
That's so
overwhelmed.
Cool.
Like God's so far ahead of me in the plan for my life, and in preparing me mentally and spiritually, and preparing my heart.
Yeah.
And went and served my butt off with Tim Miller.
So you guys obviously, created a special bond, come home off your missions.
Mm-hmm.
You went into sales, right?
I did sales to get through school.
Yep. Doing sales to get through school. What do you go do?
Yeah. So I went back to St. George, and my family, my uncle started a business in St. George, pretty successful horticulture business, potted flowers, believe it or not. Multi-million-dollar POs to Trader Joe's or Walmart. Wow. So it's kind of a big operation. And I always just kind of thought that was the plan, just kind of go in there,
stick in the family business.
Stick with the family and do that. Yeah. So I started to go into sales with with the family company, and thought I'd create a beautiful life, make decent money, and live in St. George. And it was at that time, Ty and I stayed in contact a little bit, but not as much as, you would think. You've seen us now. You would think we were just blood brothers, but we kind of would text once a year, maybe for a while. And it was at that time that I said, "Hey, I'm going to Florida for a family trip to Disney World. Why don't you bring your family?" And I didn't know at the time that Ty had moved to Florida. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I'll let him share a story. But it was when I was kind of with my family business and we went to Florida, that was kind of a catalyst for our life. But
yeah, if I'm kind of going in parallel with that, I was going to BYU, met my wife, got married, and I was like, I'm going back to Russia for sure. That is my destiny. I even feel that today. That
something's going to take you back
Something's going to take me back there. And so I was like, what's the best way to get to Russia? Oil and gas. So I did the Googling and stuff, applied for schools, ended up at Louisiana State University studying petroleum engineering, and worked my butt off, like top of my class, president of my class, did the whole, just wanted to be as marketable as possible and a leader in the field. And I'd accepted a job with a Fortune 500 company. Schlumberger is the company.
Yep.
And I was ready to go, ready to rock and roll, moved to Houston. And I am at a trampoline park in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And Case Lawrence is there. And we meet, and we talk, and he pulls me aside into a party room. And Case Lawrence is like, "Hey, I think you might be a good fit for this business. Like we're building something special here. We're pioneers in this industry. Nobody's doing it like us, and we're building an army of just the best people we can find to join the ranks. Like I think you'd be a great fit." And I'm taken back. I mean, I've seen Casey Baugh in a morning meeting at Vivint, and then I see this guy sitting in front of me saying, "I'm building something amazing. We have a vision. You would be great." And he hands me his business card. And his business card doesn't say CEO. It's kind of one of the reasons we don't do titles yet. It says Case Lawrence, ringmaster, circus tricks.
That's so great.
And I go home and I'm just I'm telling my wife, I'm like, look at this card, ringmaster. This guy's incredible. He's got this vision, and we took time. I mean, it was a serious
decision. Yeah, I mean, that's a big pivot.
Yeah. And I'd already accepted a job. We pray, we fast, temple, everything. And ultimately decided we're going to do this. And I remember clearly, we've built it up. This is the coolest business ever. This is going to be so sick. And I remember calling my dad. And I'm like, Dad, so this is going to be so cool. I'm not going to go work at Schlumberger. I'm going to go be a GM of a jumpy house in Lakeland, Florida. But it's going to be the coolest thing ever. And I look back on it now. How cool is it that Case was able to build a vision on something that, we love our industry so much, but he built a vision that turned me away from what I thought was just my destiny.
I mean, we share this. One, Case, is a good buddy of mine. I've taught at BYU with Case for the last 5 years, and he's a super dynamic leader. I had a similar experience where working with Todd Peterson, door-to-door sales, commission-based, 100%. And I remember being fired up on it. I've got this leader that's so dynamic. He believes in it. I, gone out and done it, had success with it. Remember getting pulled downstairs. This is our first house. And my father-in-law kind of brings me downstairs and he's kind of having the talk with me. Hey, it's great that this is going well for you, but
when you going to grow up?
You got to get a real job. There is no future in this. And it was coming from the most sincere place. When I put myself in his shoes, I'm like, if my daughter is married to somebody and, that person dropped out of school and is going to do door-to-door sales, you're like, oh my gosh, I don't see this thing ending well. But for me, I had so much certainty that was a phenomenal opportunity that was just going to open doors for me and my wife. And a lot of it came down to the leader that's recruiting you. And then also trying to get smart and say, hey, who is doing this? I think one of those Tony Robbins lessons we learned over the weekend is about modeling and about, pattern recognition and actually finding people that are getting the results that you want in life and just modeling their behaviors. And that was one that, Todd Peterson was that guy. He was getting results that I wanted in my life. And I've tried to model his behaviors for a long time, and it served me really well. Some of the way he treats people and the way he dreams big and the way he, shows up and makes you feel like you're the most important person in the room. I mean, those are just gifts that he's honed and developed that make you feel super special.
Yeah.
You start to put words to something that I'd never heard before. This idea of, people believing in yourself more than you even believe in your own self.
Yeah.
And when I think of those individuals in my life, Case Lawrence is maybe at the very top of that list.
He just believed in you guys.
I mean, it was special. It was really special. And
changed your life.
It changed the trajectory. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing I can give or say to warrant what he's done to change my life.
How special is that?
And I count, his friendship just one of my most prized possessions, and now beyond that, as we partner with you, Casey, you and Dave, and it's rich. It really is a fulfilling life. But Ty makes the jump, says yes to this trampoline park thing, and moves to Florida. And so the universe is working to where we're going to go on a trip to Disney World.
Crash collision.
Ty's just moved to Florida. I have no clue, and we all end up in a trampoline park in random Lakeland, Florida.
Wow.
And Ty is half excited to see me, half stressed out because they're just opening up this park. And I remember, one night after hours, we just go to the place. We walk in, and I'm with my wife, and I'm not thinking that I'm making a career change.
Yeah, you're just there checking.
I'm just there to have a good time.
checking out your friend's kingdom, you know.
And you know Ty. I mean, it's impossible to be around Ty and not feel like the energy is palpable. The energy is so real. And we're just having the best time. And we go to leave, and there's this huge saying on the wall on the way out of that park. And there's a quote from P.T. Barnum. It said, "The noblest art is that of making others happy." And I just sit there and read that. And I'm like, gosh dang, like it hit me, you know, in my heart.
You're like delivering happiness to people.
Yeah. And like seeing Ty in his zone and in his state. And
so not to interrupt you, but going back to like this Tony Robbins event, because it was so impactful. He talks a lot about, hey, what business are you in? What business are you really in?
Yeah.
And it feels like Case did a really good job of capturing like, what business are you really in? Even, you know, to the name on the business card, to the quotes on the side of the wall, it's capturing people's imagination.
Yeah.
It's like, we're really in the business of like making people happy. We're not in trampoline parks. No. We're in creating happiness and excitement and experience and magic.
The name of our parent co is Wonderment.
Yeah.
And it's a word, only time I've ever heard it was in an interview with Case, where he's talking about the park. That when he built these from the start, it was considering every square inch. How's the art on the wall behind the person who's taking the picture? The black ceilings, the lighting. How do I create something where when somebody captures a moment, that there's this sense of awe, this mind-blowing wonder that, wait, how is this place real?
Yeah.
And that's how we actually named our parent co. It's Wonderment.
Chelsea and I were in New York about a month and a half ago, and Doug Cartwright's got me on like this like breath work routine. You know what I mean? That is absolutely like been so great. It's like a new habit. I am a biohacker, you know, how do you go squeeze the most juice out of life junkie? You know, I love great habits and rituals and things that bring happiness. And so Doug brought that one. It was this breath work. And it's from this group called Othership. And they have a couple of physical locations. They've got one in Toronto and one in New York. And so we go to New York. And it's this cold plunge sauna, big group thing, guided meditation. And me and my wife go up to this, and we end up going 3 or 4 days in a row. It ended up being kind of our afternoon ritual to go like hit up the sauna and cold plunge. But there was this really dynamic person who was leading the breath work. And he broke down the session into 3 categories. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is one of the categories is wonder. And he said the first one when you're going through it is presence, and just really being present, noticing the sights and sounds and emotions and feelings and scents, and, you know, which is really hard to be present. You know what I mean? We live in the past, and we live in the future, and all of us have these states that we're the most comfortable. Some of them don't serve us well. You know, it could be being stressed is actually where I'm comfortable. Like
that's where
if I'm not stressed, I'm actually stressed, you know, because then, you know, my body's like in hyper survival mode or whatever. But he talks about this presence. So you're really breathing into like actually noticing exactly where you're at. Second one, you go to gratitude, and just getting deep into gratitude about just all the things and people and experiences and your health, and just seeing the good. And it's amazing how like that reticular activating system, you just start noticing that like, man, my life is pretty special. But then the last one that he brought up was wonder. And he said, you know, wonder is kind of a sister to presence and gratitude. But even just being childlike and just noticing the magic in the world. And the magic of the stars in the sky, and the magic of the improbability that you exist. And he goes through and tells the story of, you know, the improbability that your parents would ever meet each other and conceive. But then the improbability that their parents would meet each other, and then their parents and their parents. And like the further you go back, you're like, I am a 1 in a billion, 1 in a multi-billion dollar that
product.
I even exist, that this course of human events had to happen. So many events had to happen
to create Casey Ball.
And when you go through that, you just realize, man, God's real.
It's humbling. Yeah.
There is a bigger plan. There is a sequence. There is anyway, super special. And so like when you're describing that, like if you can really capture wonderment, if you can really capture that magic. And I think fast forwarding to, you guys went and did circus tricks for a long time.
Yeah.
And you were a part of that business from when it was a smaller business to all the way up through, taking outside capital and private equity and, multiple kind of engagements with consulting firms, with McKinsey and different groups to go, really have independent eyes and ears look at your strategy and really come in and try to counsel you on where to go and how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the suits from New York and it was interesting because during that period, and there's one thing at Circus Tricks when I was thinking, what's one big lesson that above all else, I think Circus Tricks taught me, like I bloomed at Circus Tricks, and Circus Tricks taught me to be
came into your own,
resourceful. Yeah. There's a difference between doing good and doing your absolute freaking best, whatever you're asked to do. And I learned that at Circus Tricks.
What was it?
Yeah. I distinctly remember, we're all kind of operating our own parks. We're kind of like, Case would call them expats. We go to our different states and we operate our parks. And I remember I was asked by the corporate team to do a project to create a kids camp for the whole company. And I got a call from Ty, and he said, Tim, corporate doesn't ask you to do something unless they see potential. They see something in you. So you got to go hard. And that just flipped a switch in me.
Ty the ultimate hype man?
Oh my
He's
gosh,
just
dude.
Calling,
I'm
giving you
so
a pep
lucky.
talk, getting you fired up. He's just that's just who he is. When I think of a great partner, the reason why Ty is such a great partner, sometimes you just need, I don't know anybody who doesn't need a pep talk or doesn't need a pump up or doesn't need somebody to believe in them. Even if it's your business partner you're close to.
Absolutely. I mean, I was thinking the people who believe in you more than you, when I hear Ty talk about me to other people, I'm just kind of feeling like I'm $1 million over here,
There's nothing better than a hype man.
I mean, yeah.
Those are great
and it inspires me to I got to live up to this, and B, I can't let him down. And and that's,
we'll just wait till we get to the next part of the story.
Actually been a good dynamic. But no, this idea of Casey, I think you coined it from Tony Robbins, but I think this is a Casey Bach quote. Years ago at Circus Tricks, I didn't know you at the time. Ty had known you earlier, but Ty says, "Hey, there's this quote you need to listen to this podcast." And in this, you have a quote. You say, it's never a lack of resources; it's only a lack of resourcefulness. And I think I've said that line to myself every day for the last 7 years.
Yeah. The resources are never the problem.
Mm-hmm. Resources are abundant.
Yeah.
There's a quote, in the book, I think it's in The Richest Man to Babylon. He's talking about luck. And he says, if a person's lucky, there's no telling how lucky they can be. And there's this line throw, a pearl in the Euphrates and he'll come up with multiple in his hands. And I think about that with respect to resourcefulness. If you're resourceful, there's no telling how big you can grow something.
Yeah.
How resourceful you can be. Because there's always you bounce up against the threshold of your resourcefulness.
Yeah.
And then kind of like what Tony Robbins talks about, this threshold of control. You break through it. And then
even this mindset that there's always a way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, going back to Circus Tricks, it's funny, as we, through the years, we grew in the company from running single locations to multi-unit locations. And I mean, it was a hockey stick. We went from just a few locations to, over 300 locations. And it was the ride of a lifetime. And during that, that span, we would get more responsibility, higher titles. And, we would, you'd always say, hey, we feel like we deserve more pay. And what's funny looking back now, we had a front row seat to private equity and to deal structure and taking a business to market and a McKinsey study and so many things that's like, man, we shouldn't have been asking for more money. We should have like genuinely paid them for the education we got.
This is an insanely important lesson. Like when you're coaching young people, and it's you either work to learn or you work to earn. And awesome if you can do both.
Yeah.
But working to learn ultimately is going to allow you to make the most money. Like when you really say, if I could have cut my pay in half
and been exposed,
but been on that rocket ship,
if I could go back
with that leader and on that trajectory and had those experiences with, because they're not all good experiences. Some of them are actually crazy painful.
Yeah.
Like that process of having private equity come in and change the entire culture of this beautiful business that you guys had built. That's a hard experience. You know what I mean? That you kind of have to experience it to not want to experience it again.
That's right.
I think that was one of the first things we told you when we were meeting is like, hey, there's some scar tissue.
Of course.
For some things here.
Yeah, like literally just like affects you where you're like, I don't believe in this anymore. This stole my soul. Like we're in this process of creating wonder, and then it like zaps it, zaps all the fun out of it.
And to be clear, when private equity came in, Case kind of got less involved in the day to day. Started helping out, and so it was kind of new CEOs.
Which is so normal.
Yeah, super normal.
It's like,
but the magic dwindled.
Knowing what I know today, it's completely predictable.
Yeah,
but you don't know that when you're first time rider.
Yeah,
on the train, it's like you're on the roller coaster, and like it's gonna get really rough.
Yeah,
and you've got no idea, and so you're just kind of hooked in and.
So, so at the time I wouldn't say it. I'm so grateful. So grateful.
It was the best thing that happened to us.
Yeah, but you guys were working to learn and working to earn. You had, some nice compensation, but also, more relevant business experience that I think when we get to the next phase of the journey, there's no way you guys could be doing what you're doing today without that chapter.
There's no chance. It happened for us, and it wouldn't even say it was deliberate to go do our own thing, to be honest. It was we'd been through a few CEOs, and we get another CEO. It's this woman, great resume, and she comes in and she's guns a-blazing. And at the time, I'm head of marketing. I'm super proud of what we were doing at the time.
Yeah.
And Tim was head of ops, and she comes in. She's like, she has her ideas. She has the way that she does things, and there's nothing wrong with that, but she did. She comes to me and she says, hey, we had 13 people we were merging kind of the franchise and the own side, and we're bringing them together. There's 13 people over there, just a couple of us on the own side. And I was going to be overseeing the team. And she said, I need you to fire those 13 people. I think we can go find better or just lean on agencies to do the work they're doing. This is like her second week there.
So you're like, you have no concept of what's going on. Like
No, zero. And we had just, like, the merger was happening as she was being brought on. So this is new to me too. Like, I've been introduced to these people.
Yeah.
These 13 people trying to create energy. I want to be a good leader. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to learn their names and what matters to them and love them. She said, I need to fire. Maybe choose one or two to keep. And so I go back and I came up with what I still think was a genius plan. Like, we were going to move franchise dollars around, and there was going to be no blip on any radar, but we were going to move those dollars to where we can afford that team, the same team, and like give us a runway to learn how we can work together.
Yeah.
And a week later, instead of letting go of those 13 people, I get let go.
Wow.
And I'm in shock. I'd given up my degree, my dream of going back to Russia, and I followed a dude with a vision. And here I am 8 years later, sitting in my car, like, do I call my wife? Like, what do I do?
Kind of embarrassed.
Oh, low.
Yeah.
And like, I had to go back and tell my best friends in an office, like, guys, I'm gone. And before calling my wife, I called Case. And I didn't want him to try to reverse the decision. Like, that wasn't obviously the approach, but because he's my hero. And I call him, he picks up. He's like, hey, come to my office. And his office is the women's gymnasium across from the Provo Library, second floor. We sit down and Case just like pours love out, you know, and dude, you're built for so much more than this. That was just to prepare you for what's to come. It was a good 30-minute conversation, and I walk out to my car, and I'm like opening up my car door just in shock, and Case comes back out. He's like, hey, come back in. He's like, I need to give you a blessing. Like, if anybody questions the character of Case Lawrence, I'll be the first in line to tell them they're wrong. And you just, spare the details. I was inspired by the way that he believed in me. And honestly, some of the words were prophetic, because he knew what kind of person I was and what I could go accomplish. And not that I'm more special than anybody else, but he saw that in me. And so obviously I'm devastated. Go to my wife. You talk about people believing in you. Tim calls, like, dude, he's making good money. We're both making pretty good money for our age at the time, multi six figures. And Tim calls me. He's like, dude, you're not here. I'm out. And like, this guy right here believed in me. And so he started planning his exit. And we had no plan. We had no plan outside of the fact that we're freaking brothers and we can go create something beautiful. And he jumped ship. And so here we are, have nothing. Our bank accounts are slowly going to zero. And we got to go figure out how to build something.
And you guys are how old?
We're like 30. 31. Yeah. Kids, young kids, And God, I got really emotional hearing your talk, man. I mean, there was one, Tony talks about pattern recognitions. There was one pattern that we saw at Circus Tricks. And it was, we knew these trampoline parks were successful, but what we saw was, we would rebrand to different names thinking that would help sales, as we had one brand to kind of push to market. And every time we changed the name of a trampoline park, nothing happened. You know, it was just, we spent a lot of money changing it and the same number of people came through.
Yeah. So it wasn't moving the needle.
Nothing at all. But when we would invite random, YouTube influencers to come just shoot at our park, hang out, I mean, you'd have lines out the door, Casey. You'd be sold out. And so, and we tried to get this off the ground at Circus Tricks to no avail, thank goodness, is this idea of, can we go and build a creator park?
Yeah.
A park that has, like, these kids have an affinity towards this brand. And that thought, that thesis was what we started with after we left Circus Tricks, is how can we partner with somebody that's more powerful than just Ty's Jump House or Tim's Jump House.
Yep.
And while we're out there, like, trying to do this, we're making calls. We're not waiting around. We're like, okay, we're going to go find a building. Like, we gotta work within our non-compete, like, and make, so we're making calls to people saying, like, hey, like, we're going to try to do this influencer park. And kind of two things happen simultaneously. One guy says, well, you already got beat to it. There's this group called the Ninja Kids who are building a trampoline park in Vegas. And so, like, cool, but like, somebody's already doing it. Oh, wow, that's crazy. And simultaneously, we're hopping in Tim's Tesla and driving across the country to try to find real estate. Like, where can we build this first park? We don't even know what we're going to call it, but we're going to go build this first park. And we legitimately load up like a queen-size mattress into the back of Tim's Model 3. This is not a joke, Casey.
Drop down the seats.
And we're driving to Chicago because we got in touch with a landlord out there. And we're like, we're going to go meet with this guy. So we drive to Chicago from Salt Lake. And to make this story better, the Model 3 like stops responding in Wyoming.
Can't turn it on.
We can't turn on the car. And we're sitting.
Can't get into the car.
We're praying, like, what's going on? Tim, he's like a Tesla fanatic expert. Like, he's trying everything. Will not turn on. And there's like snow. Like this was a cold time of year. So we don't know where he tries 18 things. All of a sudden, boom, turns on. It says drive immediately to the closest Tesla service center, which was in Colorado. Okay, we have no choice. Go to Colorado, drop off the car. They're like, yeah, we don't have this piece. Not going to have it for like 90 days. But like we can give you a loaner and you just can't leave the state with the loaner. So they're like, in the meantime, they're like still looking at the Model 3, trying to figure things out. And there's this, might have been a Trader Joe's. It was like a Sprouts, whatever. And we're like, dude, there's a way. Really, this is how we were thinking. We're gonna go buy brownies, cupcakes, donuts, drinks, and we're gonna bring it to this Tesla team. We're gonna give it to them. We're like, guys, try your best on the car. You know, you got this. We have a big meeting we gotta get to in Chicago. Like,
yeah.
Thank you so much for the hard work. And like sitting there hour later, this guy, hey guys, come back. Here's the deal. I'll let you take it out of Colorado, but you got to go home. You got to go back to Utah. And Tim says, if you look at the radar, you go back to Utah, there's snow all over the roads. If we go to Chicago, there's no snow. And this guy's like, do not mess up this car. This Model S. And by the way, it was incredible. Unlimited supercharging. So we like free gas. She's like, do not mess up this car. Like you cannot bring this. Like I cannot have like a problem in Chicago. We're like, oh yeah, totally. They're working on Tim's car. We get outside, we get in this Model S and we're like, oh shoot, all our stuff is in the Model 3. It's on the floor, like jacked up, getting worked on.
Including the mattress.
We walk in there. I remember it clear as day. Pop that, open that thing, rip the mattress, the sheets, the pillows. I'm walking, blankets dragging through Tesla after this guy said, don't mess up my car. And we're just like, we're not going to make eye contact. Because if we make eye contact, he might be like, guys. So we just, boom, jam it all in the Model S and we take off. And we make the landlord meeting with like legitimately 8 minutes to spare. Like I drove, Tim slept. Tim drove, I slept in the back of this Model S.
Go straight there.
And did we get that real estate? No. Did it become a park? No. But the universe and God was telling us, like, I'm here on this journey with you guys. And just last month, we called that Tesla facility. And we're like, hey, do you remember the two guys that came in and got that Model S? They're like, oh, yeah, for sure. Like, that was me. Like, dude, you like
saved us.
You saved us and you believed in us.
Yeah.
They even said when we walked out the doors, like, we just had a feeling like those guys are going to be something someday. They said these guys. Anyway, just people are everything. Like, we got juice out of some random worker at Tesla called James. He made us think we should believe in ourselves.
You want to hear a crazy story? I'm just like, I'm hearing this and I'm going through like beautiful life experiences. I remember me and my wife were in Italy. This is so random. Me and my wife were in Italy and we're like probably first or second time that we're doing like Europe. Mm-hmm. And so my wife has this agenda and there's this hotel. It's called Borgo Santo Pietro. And it's supposed to be really nice. And, this is back like TomToms and GPS isn't the same as it is today. And anyway, we drive, for quite a ways. We're like all over Italy. And we show up to this spot and it's just nice, but not that nice. And I'm kind of rolling up and my wife like plans our trips from top to bottom. I like literally don't even look in the agenda before we go. Like she owns that part of our life and I just show up and enjoy it. But I'm like, oh man, this is kind of a miss. But like, it's not going to say it out loud, And we kind of roll up and then it's like kind of becoming more and more apparent like, this place isn't that nice. And we kind of roll in and there's this guy, I still remember him. He's got this white shirt. It's this skinny black tie. He's chubby. He's kind of almost bursting the shirt. The buttons are all, to their max to hold in all this Italian guy's glory. And we're hungry and we're in the wrong hotel. And not just the wrong hotel, we're like 2.5 hours away.
Oh, jeez.
And we're a young couple, kind of out of sorts a little bit. And I still remember this guy, it was like something clicked. And he just said, "Do you want me to make you some food?" And we're like, "That'd be fantastic." And this guy takes us in the back, like puts us in this little seat, little like table and chair, super pretty, goes and cuts up like these amazing meats, Italian meats, cuts up like these amazing cheeses, brings us Coke, like Coke in a bottle. Yeah. And I still remember this meal, and it was so good. And it was like this experience that we were not planning on having. But it was this individual that just decided, this stranger, I'm going to make their experience magical. I don't think he had anything to gain. We weren't staying at the hotel. And he went and cut up, like, I don't know where he had those meats and cheeses. It wasn't like a restaurant, but they were like for sure the highlight of the trip for me. And we go back and see him, and the guy's like, "I was so nervous." He's like sweating. And you've got this guy that just like created this magic for us, kind of very similar to like your experience with this Tesla person, where it's like they didn't have to do what they did. Like actually they're like taking on liability, and they're like putting themselves out there for you. Pretty special. Like
totally
those like interactions are kind of magic. When you think back, you're like,
it's like this like concept of like, God works through other people.
Yeah.
And we've seen that, we've been beneficiaries of that, and it inspires us to be like givers of that. Be like can we
go be that?
Go be that to somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
And Casey, you're such a great example of that.
Tim reminded me this morning, we leave the meeting with the landlord in Chicago. And they're like, "Oh, nice. So like, where are you guys staying tonight? We should get dinner." And we were sleeping on the like parking garage. I haven't booked a hotel yet, but we'd love to go to dinner. We'd love free dinner.
We didn't have the heart to say where exactly we were sleeping that night.
You guys had no money. Like, this is shoestring budget.
I mean, we, and we're years away from a park opening. At the time, we didn't know, and that's kind of like we started out to go build a new park. We knew we could do it. We didn't know how we're going to get all these resources, but we knew we could do it. And we went to Chicago. We went to New York. And it's like, we're doing this. And then, like Clayton Christensen talks about this idea of like deliberate strategies and like emergent strategies.
Yeah.
And we were kind of forced into an emergent strategy because when the bank account, starts going down, you might have to rethink what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And so the emergent strategy was, instead of going and building a new park, it's going to take a while.
Well, we'd signed a lease. And we realized, dude, that we're like,
it's true.
Red tape in New Jersey.
We're years away from seeing any sort of paycheck. In fact, our first park that we signed a lease on during this time, 34 months later, just opened.
34 months, almost 3 years.
3 years
later. We were going to be driving Uber cars if we just stuck with that strategy.
And the emergent strategy was, well, instead of going and building new, can we go just buy either a dilapidated or just kind of a park that the owners are tired.
Yeah.
We know we can go in and create some energy. And kind of that this strategy was emerging along the same time when we were back in Utah. And it's just the universe working in incredible ways. There's this kid at BYU, just young, hungry, ambitious. Stevie. He says, "Hey boys, I'd love to pick your brain. Can we go to lunch?" And, at the time we're like, we're trying, we got no money. It's like, I don't know what's in our brain that he wants, but we'll go to lunch and we'll try it out. And, we said, "Hey, what are you up to? What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm doing some, I'm working, going to school. I'm doing some fulfillment for a brand called the Ninja Kids." And so there's like two different attacks of like this idea of the Ninja Kids. Second time we've heard that. And so like, you know what? That's not a coincidence. Like, so we say, hey, can we get an introduction? We know they're doing this park in Las Vegas. Maybe we can help them create some energy. Can we please get an introduction to the Ninja Kids? At the time, I didn't know, so Ninja Kids is a incredibly popular YouTube brand. One of the most popular YouTube brands for kids. 30 million plus aggregated subscribers. I didn't know them, didn't know where they lived, wanted a meeting with them, and I'd go anywhere. Turns out they're down the road. They're here in Utah. And Stevie pulls through and gets us a meeting with these guys. And so we walk in to their house thinking, these guys are doing a park. How can we add value? And as we sit down and start talking, it becomes really clear that these guys aren't doing a park. And we could add value. And come to find out, the individual that told Ty that, hey, Ninja Kids already beat you to it, they're going to Vegas. He was thinking of a completely different brand, different name, not Ninja Kids. Spy Ninjas was the name he was thinking of. So out of a mistake from this guy, we end up meeting with the Ninja Kids to talk trampoline parks.
Through a college kid named Stevie, who's just the man.
That's coming to like snag a couple bums that don't have 2 nickels to rub together.
He thinks we're something, and he's like, "Where do we want to go to lunch?" And we're like, "In and Out, dude. In and Out's $7.50."
Are you paying for it? It's so great. I mean, these are like the type of stories that are so fun to like uncover, because you just take the improbability, and I think the lessons that I like glean from these is, if you have a passion and you have a vision and you're willing to keep going, something good's going to work out. Mm-hmm. Like if you just keep going, if you just won't quit, like something's going to work out. And I think, you guys were still at it and still committed and still going and had this belief that it was going to work out. And then, connect with the Ninja Kids. So fast forward to that to like you're 3 to 5 parks deep. Like how did it go from we met these guys to
we
build
met
a strategy or a thesis around it to started executing?
Yeah, absolutely. So around the same time, it's like, okay, can we buy an existing park and then do the very best we know how to make it a Ninja Kids park, Ninja Kids branding, the art, the wonderment.
Bring it to life.
Can we bring this to life? And we found a park in Dallas, Texas. And it's like, it was right. It felt right. When you know. And so we moved to Dallas, Ty and I did. And, there's conviction, Casey. And then there's like, you have to sign a personal guarantee for this park. And there's personal guarantee conviction. And like, we just did it. We knew in our bones. And so we had to sign personal guarantees. And I remember the landlord, I had a little bit of Bitcoin that like to use as collateral, and the landlord, in order to make it work, forced me to sell it. I had to be liquid.
He wouldn't accept it.
And that was a couple. Well, it wasn't that much Bitcoin at the time. So, but in any event, moved to Dallas and just got to work, dude. Like laying floors, just doing anything we knew how, morning and night, getting this park up and going.
It would honestly, this like 4-month span might be the most special of the whole journey, and like might not be able to be beat, because we borrow my dad's beater car, like 2002 Civic, and we drive this thing at like out to Dallas from Utah. And we call up like an old family friend of my mom or my wife. Like, hey, like you guys live out there, like can we stay in the spare bedroom? And they're like, sure. Like these people, talk about people believing in you.
Yeah.
They didn't question it one time, and actually like never complained while we were there. And to this day, like, have never required like some massive thank you. The Brandons. And we stay in their spare bedroom, driving this beater car. We wake up at around 6:30 every morning. We get back at like midnight every night. We're literally laying floors,
going hard,
moving trussing, putting up lighting, installing like 3x3, like massive TV jumbotrons. Maybe like you talk about the Tesla people. There was this other, the Brandons, the Tesla people. There were these two ladies at Lifetime Fitness. Lifetime's not cheap. At least for us at the time, it was not cheap.
No, Lifetime not
but
cheap.
we show up, Jay and Jeanette. We talk to them, we create energy, and we're like, listen, like we're trying to these ladies for 4 months. Every time we walked in, they just gave us the nod. Didn't pay $1. These two ladies, they freaking took care of us. And like, you get your body right in the morning, you get your mind right.
Of course.
And
I mean, Lifetime is like a gift.
It's
like
a gift.
It's got everything. You know what I mean? To be able to experience that, like,
it was our saving grace.
It
Honestly,
ends up becoming a sanctuary, especially if you're living in a spare bedroom. I think about like my mornings and my routines and how important like solitude and inspiring spaces are.
Yeah.
And Lifetime is that, you got your body and your mind and all those things,
We're cold plunging in the outdoor pool of Lifetime. Jay and Jeanette are just giving us the go ahead as we walk in every day.
It was a really special time, and we still didn't have any money. Every penny was going back into the business, and for the rest of my life, I'll remember those days. And we finally got the first one open, and Casey, our thesis proved true in an incredible way. The first day we opened, we had 7,000 people show up to experience this. 7,000. The line is wrapped around this huge building,
and there's tornado warnings. It's raining outside.
And we did it,
Wow.
we did it. And that first month you take a profit distribution and it's like manna from heaven.
Feel like a zillion dollars. Like,
I remember calling like my really good high school friend Ryan. I'm like, dude, you'll never believe what I just got.
And so,
but the thing is it wasn't a paycheck. Like that was our knees are shot from laying flooring. Like we have pictures of Tim strapping foam cubes from the foam pit to his knees because we're just crawling on this floor, laying 6,000 square feet. Like our fingernails, everything is just wrecked, and we just got paid our dollars, not paycheck dollars.
It's not like we've ever laid commercial flooring before. We figured it out. YouTube, Google, and it was a special time, and we learned lots of mistakes for number 2. And then number 3, and slowly but surely we started to gain momentum of like, okay, was 1 lucky? And then, 2, 3, 4, and you said we get to 3 or 5 and we realize every single time we do this, like it's a result we know. Like we know what's going to happen when we do this. And, you call it product market fit, call it luck, but we realized, business is so hard. Entrepreneurship is so hard, and product market fit
so hard
is not. Yeah, it's rare.
So hard. You want it to be there so bad, and you even kind of force it sometimes. You think, oh, we have it, and it's going to get there, and it's really hard to get. Mm-hmm. So like for that you guys nailed it, Park 1, and it's never stopped is insane. Mm-hmm. Like that is so exciting.
There's a lot of bumps along the road, and like anything, you learn. And kind of our motto is every new park we've built just has to be better than the last, and it has to make us proud. And I feel like we have a very high standard for ourselves of like what is
I mean,
proud.
The park that you guys just finished in New York is the nicest trampoline park in the world. Mm-hmm. Like there's not a nicer park, and that's like not hyperbole or pump up. It's the number one. It's the nicest in the world. But that was your very first one. That was the least number one. That wasn't like
it almost killed us. I mean, if we didn't get scrappy, that one was going to put us out.
Bury you.
It was going to bury us.
Yeah.
And luckily, we even similar to the brownies, we created energy with that landlord. Amazing guy, Don Gurmesian. He's like this Jewish dude. He believes in us. Like he'll still call us, guys, how we doing? How we doing? And he was not the beneficiary of our rent for 3 years. He had to sit there not taking our rent. And he probably could have tried to force the issue. He didn't. And now he's like our biggest cheerleader. We're going to dinner with him in a couple weeks. Just incredible, man.
He owns that.
He owns the mall.
Wow. So this guy's a baller.
Dude's a baller.
Yeah.
Mall of America, American Dream Mall. and then this one in like Edmonton.
It's incredible.
The 3 biggest malls, maybe in the world, or at least in like North America. Great guy.
And I would say, you know, going back earlier in the podcast, we talked about when was this idea of like $1 billion company. You know, I think the seeds started to get planted at about this time. It's like, you know what, we need to create a vehicle to grow this. This is a little bit, you know, we love being resourceful, and how do you just create a vehicle to where it's plug and play, and we can just go over and over and over. And it was about this time that we started to talk to you, Casey, and some others, and it was probably around then, you know, when I first thought, you know, like, there is a path to 100 of these.
I remember Ty came and gave me kind of one of your VIP cards. And me and Ty had always kept a, you know, really good relationship. And, you know, just like he's a hype man for you, he's always been that to me. He's always, you know, there's people who just always, you know, are so good at expressing love and gratitude. And that's always been Ty for me. We've always just kind of had a special relationship. And I saw him go work with Case, and then saw him working on this project. And I remember getting this card and going and checking out the one in Salt Lake, being like, man, you guys really do have something special here. And then there was something that flipped where it's like, man, I think we could go be a part of this and like be helpful, you know, and that was kind of these early conversations. And I remember going to a slope school event and see Todd there. And I'm like, I've got some buddies that are going to build $1 billion company. I'm certain of it. And he's like, what is it? I'm like, it's called the Ninja Kids Trampoline Park. And his eyes kind of glaze over. And I'm like, I'm just telling you, these guys have innovated. They have a unique marketing strategy. They have a subscription, you know, they have a subscription strategy. And they have this unique thing with the brand. They have this partnership, you know, with, I think it's Shane, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Shane.
Yeah, Shane and the, you know, the brand. And it's special. Like, it's recognized everywhere in the world. Kids know it. Like, these kids are expecting to show up and see the Ninja Kids there. I'm like, these guys have figured it out. And I still remember Todd, like, once he spent some time with you guys, he's like, we just have to get like half that company. He's like, I still remember he's like, do not screw this one up. Do not lose it. And I did everything I could not to screw it up. I still screwed it up, but we're happy to be in the deal. But
that's awesome.
We kind of knew that you guys were going to succeed. And so it's fun, you know, never easy. It's always bumpy, always hard. Every deal's hard. Every, you know, new park's hard.
That statement can't be overstated, how hard it is, because we had no clue. We sit there, you know, go back to that room where Casey Baugh's up there. I had no clue how hard your journey was to get to that point, to stand up in front of us in that room and say, I just turned down $20 million because I'm sticking with Vivint. When we followed Case and we were building parks, you know, we thought we were doing good work, but we had no clue how hard it was for Case to build what he built, and the challenges that he faced, and, and the monsters that just come out of the woodworks. And then when we got into this, we got hit with some hard stuff. At least for us at the time, it was really hard stuff. You know, a lawsuit, an eviction notice on our second park saying you got to be out of here in 28 days. And we've been open for a month.
What?
Yes. And like, I remember at that time we were like starting to get into cold plunging, whatever it was, 3 or 4 years ago. And I remember the only time I was at peace was in the cold plunge, because I couldn't think about anything else. My body was freezing. I couldn't think about anything else.
That's kind of wild. Tiger Woods, I remember going back and listening to his biography, and he got into scuba diving. And for him with scuba diving, that was his release.
Like, you're so present.
He was like, there's so much noise and so much demand all the time on me. And scuba diving was just his release. It was when things got quiet. He didn't need to talk, and he could just be there, and it ended up becoming like therapy to him. So it's interesting, like these coping mechanisms that you're like, I am at peak stress. I'm at peak anxiety. I am tipped out as far as like how much I can handle.
it's a race right now of, will I go white first or will Tim go bald first? This is not a joke. I looked at a picture of like a month before I left Circus Tricks, and I was like dark black hair, like no lines. And this is like 4 years
You're
later.
literally like,
And now
we've been through
white
it.
beard.
But the coolest thing, honestly, this was a breakthrough moment for us, is we've been going through this. My gosh, is this even worth it at this point? Like, we just spent all of somebody else's money on this park. We're going to get evicted. We're like in the trenches with this landlord. And we realized one morning that, we always said, I want to be like Case. I want to be like Casey. I want to be like my heroes. And then when you get smacked in the face, when you start feeling real pain and real fear, you don't want that fear. You don't want that pain. But in order to become Casey Baugh, in order to become like Case Lawrence, like, you have to go through the tough moments. There's no way around it. And you realize, like, dude, these trenches out here,
there's just a refiner's fire.
Yeah.
There's high consequence to not succeeding.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Where there's just safer places to go play.
That, what's interesting is, at least in our journey, the relationship with resourcefulness and like a little bit of naivete.
Oh,
like,
yeah. It's like your best
it actually was a superpower for us, because if we had known, how like the journey and how hard it would be and the bumps, it's like, geez, do I really want to do this? But and so I think the same story with maybe Vivint, as you kind of start to go into some of these structuring or doing things you've never done before. Like there's some power in naivete.
There's just some gnarly stuff. A lot of times where we're at the edge of making it or not making it, and it's easy looking back. You kind of gloss over all the pain and you only see the good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that entrepreneurial journey is just, it's kind of a principle that like you're going to reap in proportion to what you sow. And like,
exactly,
to think differently is naive.
Like, along with resourceful, like one of our other core values is relentlessness. Like, people listening to this have no clue how hard and how much effort Tim Miller has put into this business. The dude is a machine. Every waking hour, he's trying to figure out how we can improve this business. And like, maybe he's gotten a little bit better in like the past couple months, because it's so taxing.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable for as long as we've been doing it. This guy is a machine.
I think this like lie of like work-life balance. It's like, it's just a lie.
Yeah.
There's going to be times of extreme imbalance. Mm-hmm. And you just have to know when the time and season is and be willing to say, this is a time of extreme imbalance. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you got like a good team, got a good foundation and home base and partners that can ride with you through it. But you just can't have like
I subscribe to that. It was explained to me a little bit, and how I kind of think of my own life is, I want to eat like a lion and not like a cow. A cow grazes and, is just constantly grazing and eating food. Whereas a lion will rest, not do a whole lot, but then when it's time to eat, goes so hard and like gets his food. And I think the time and season for us right now is like we got to go get our food.
People don't know that Tim like has been put in the hospital, like rashes down his body,
physical like reactions.
To physical reaction to intensity and fear, and fear that we had to overcome, and then act calm in that fear.
No, that's that stuff. It truly is like the what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You just can't get that muscle without going through the pain. And I think that's ultimately like, that's my reason for this podcast, is to like pull back the curtain on what success actually looks like and what entrepreneurship actually looks like, and the price, like the actual price that has to be paid. Because I think there's this lie, there's this kind of like rose-colored glasses lie that success is a linear process and it's very smooth and up and to the right. And it's just not my experience with it. I think few people have experienced it like that. The ones I've known, there's, a lot of challenge, a lot of friction. It's kind of like gravity. The space shuttle's leaving the orbit and you have this gravity that's just so much effort. And then you get out of the atmosphere and all of a sudden like stuff gets easy. And you're like, I see that in my life right now, you know, and this was another Tony Robbins thing. He's like, there's stages in your life. He's like, today in my life, I can do more with my little finger than I could have done when I was 21 with a full year of work at 60 hours a week. Like I got education and knowledge and money and relationships that I can just move stuff. Like if I need to move something, I can move it. But you don't have that benefit when you get started.
I mean, 0 to 1. And I'm grateful for it, Casey. You know, we talked, you and I had a conversation in Florida, like business is spiritual because business is progress and progress is spiritual. Like we're getting better. And, you know, I've had this thought for the last couple months. Like I'm grateful, you know, I believe in a Heavenly Father who is the master creator, creates everything. He could create Ninja Kids way better than we could. But he gives me the opportunity to like participate in that creation. Yeah. And I think it's really powerful. And then even, you know, more broadly, like we all get to create our lives. Like we can get up in the morning, we can choose to scroll or we can choose to prime and we can choose to just get the freak after it. And that like at the end of the day, like you earn your sleep and you like, you just live you create a beautiful life. And you're such a great example to us and to me of abundance and just building habit stacking and building a beautiful, beautiful life.
So boys, as we wrap, talk to me about like, what does the future of your business look like? When you look forward and say, what are we trying to build? If we get to the top of the mountain, what does that look like for yourself, for your employees, for your internal and external customers? Like what's the ideal? What's that compelling vision?
Yeah. It comes back to people. You know, we've mentioned quite a few people along the journey today. There's one all-star here that hasn't been mentioned, and this is the perfect time to mention him. We were going to do that park in Texas, and we needed somebody to help us run the place. And somebody had reached out to us who we love. Actually, I hired him when he was 18. And, you know, he was a staff, then a shift lead, you know, worked within Skies. I was like, hey, whatever you guys are doing, call me. As we were kind of getting closer, like, hey, like we're going to be doing this thing. And kind of gave him like, hey, but just like hold tight.
Yeah.
We think it's going to happen on this date, but like, don't quit your job. Like if this falls through, we don't want you like to mess your life up.
Yeah.
So we let him know, like, hey, we're going to go meet with him. We go there and we close the deal. We call him. Like, dude, hurry. As fast as you can, like, put in your notice. He's like, guys, I'm in Pensacola, Florida right now in a U-Haul. I got out of town. Like, I'm already on my way. Chase Matthews. This guy believed in us. And he's like family, this guy. We would do anything for Chase. We're now the Case Lawrence in the party room.
So special.
And we're just doing our best to build a vision, and we're freaking proud of it. And you talk about the vision we want to build. We don't want to build it. Like, there was a moment where we realized our lives aren't that different based on some meaningful size differences in how big this company can be. But the bigger we build it, the bigger the table gets.
Yeah.
And as the table gets bigger, we can invite more people to the table.
And it's opportunities. You know, you think about like the opportunity you experienced as young leaders, like a rising tide really does raise all boats. Mm-hmm. And as you grow, you allow people to grow with you.
And as you grow, the more you grow, the more your capacity to give grows. Yep. You know, Tony taught us that. And so honestly, our vision right now is let's go build 50 parks.
Yeah.
Get 50 of these open. And we know that there's going to be massive impact to so many kids who just like.
And 50, like today you've got line of sight to 20, right?
20. Mm-hmm.
So like 50 is like 2 to 3 years out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go get 50 parks. And then, I mean, if I'm being honest, I do believe that that this is going to be a 100+ location company, $1 billion. And as we like look at, what's this next threshold? Where's this next kind of chapter? I think it's at Park 50. And kind of to Ty's point, like we find a lot of fulfillment in building parks that inspire with people who inspire and care. And I hope at the end of the road, you hear stories about how many lives were changed financially at Vivint or others. And we aspire to be a company where these guys, have meaningful financial rewards.
Yep.
And they're along with the journey. And that just really fires us up.
Talk to me about God and talk to me about faith and how that's factored in the mix. I mean, it's kind of been the theme of this whole conversation is just kind of this belief that life is happening for you and not to you, and just identifying grace all along the way from leaders showing up. But talk to me a little bit, maybe expand on kind of how faith fits for you guys in this entrepreneurial journey.
Faith is everything. And faith is what brought us together as a partnership. And I look at my life, the more clear I get, the more I spend time thinking about the things that have led to this moment in my life. I realize that God, a loving Heavenly Father, was so far ahead of me the entire time. Like I'm a toddler making my way through the house, and He's like guiding me to where I need to be, from just my time in Russia as a kid through wrestling and finding mentors to meeting my partner.
Yeah.
Going to Louisiana to meet a guy from Provo. Then, giving up my studied degree to go do these trampoline parks. And then the worst thing that could have possibly happened to me was to be fired.
Yeah.
And like I knew at the time, I was 100% sure that this is the worst thing that could happen. And I look back now and like I owe that lady a call to say thank you. But Heavenly Father, and I think about my relationship with my kids and what I would do for them. I don't want to protect them from everything.
Yeah.
And He let me go through that. And He sent people into my life, angels, to tell me, dude,
you've got this.
And you've got a freaking partner says, dude, you're out of here. I'm getting out of here. Let's go do this. And then He sends the Tesla guys ahead of us. He knows we were going to end up there. He sends the Brandons. He sends these people into our lives. He's just so freaking far ahead of us, to make sure that we hit our goals. And our job is just do our very best. And then you think about siblings. I think about my siblings, and I think about Jesus, the relationship there between God and Jesus and myself and Jesus. I had this breakthrough this past week that I think I shared with both of you guys. My siblings are so important to me. I think about all the times that we've spent together, and then they'll come to my house and use my car, and it was on a full tank of gas. They bring it back with almost on empty, or something's different with it, and I get scarce. I get frustrated. What are they doing? But really, look what my brother did for me, Jesus. He wasn't scarce. He lived perfectly. He suffered infinitely for me. I need to do better for my siblings, to love them and follow that example of Jesus, that example He gave me, to not be scarce, to be abundant, that everybody can make it back. And so I kind of have this new resolve to just be more abundant like my Savior, like Jesus. And when hard things happen, to just know that Heavenly Father is just 12 steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
I mean, Casey, faith is everything to me. Getting, this idea that I'm a son of God, I believe that. And that makes me fundamentally shape my thoughts. If a son of God, if that's in my DNA, I wouldn't have limiting beliefs on am I good enough? Or can I do this? Or, it all dissipates when I kind of connect myself to that truth that I'm a son of God. And then it's helped us in our business. It's helped us in our business. It helped me with my relationship with Ty. I'm really grateful. My relationship with you. And yeah, it's a foundational piece of my life.
Before we wrap, people need to hear this. We're at Tony Robbins. Casey Baugh sat next to you one day, and it was the day about abundance. I think you know what I'm going to say, but you were sitting there, and I was having these thoughts about I need to be more abundant. I can't be more scarce, and we're getting fired up. We're doing everything that Tony asks of us, and then you pick up your phone, and you have a text, and like I'm looking over your shoulder. Shouldn't have done it, but I did. And you read the text, and it's from your own dad. It says, "Dad," and Dad said, "Hey Casey, like thanks for helping out this morning. That meant a lot." And this was happening in real time. This was Casey Baugh's real life that I was witnessing, sitting there. And you replied, "Dad, I've got you. You and Mom always took care of me my whole life. It's my turn to take care of you, and I've got you to the grave." I was like, wow, like this guy's already living it. He's already doing it, what I want to do. And it just made me think, man, I want to be able to send that text to my parents. Like, God, you guys are fine. Like, I've worked hard. I've sacrificed. I've freaking busted through brick walls to make sure that I can be a light. I can have an impact. I can take care of my family and my loved ones.
No,
you're the man, Casey.
That's the good stuff. I was talking to my wife about it this morning. Just this idea of like, how do you really bring honor to your parents? And I think part of like honoring your parents is like living a beautiful life, living a meaningful, impactful life, making them proud. All of us have kids, and like when your kid does something that makes you proud, you're like, oh man, you're so great, keep going. And I think about that with my parents, and I'm like, I want to bring honor to them. Like I want them to just be so proud that they raised a great kid, that they had, because of the work and sacrifice and energy and teaching and stuff that they did, that now I'm going to go make a dent in the world. And so it's fun that, experienced that together and saw that. But that is something that's, super important to me. It's something that I'm deliberate with, something that I think about, and I've thought about it for a long time, is when I think about my parents saying, how do I truly bring honor to these individuals that gave up everything, gave up their hopes and dreams and, personal, life that they could have gone live to go have 7 kids. And there was never a time, for me where my dad didn't have $20 for me, where my dad didn't, where I didn't have a baseball bat or a baseball mitt or football cleats, or there was never a time where I lacked. Mm. And looking back now, like we didn't have unlimited resources. Like we were 7 kids and both parents working, but I didn't experience that. What I experienced was my parents like doing whatever they could to go give me the life, the best life that they could give. And so you're like, if those cards get flipped, and I think, that circle of life takes place, and like you have the chance to go step up for your folks, I'm like, that's a gift from God. Like that to me is like a gift for me to go try to repay them for all the work. So anyway, calling. Yeah, thanks for calling it out. And it'll be fun to continue this conversation. It's just so many of these case studies are after you're documenting after the story is written. Mm-hmm. And I think for you guys, you're truly on the front end of this sprint. It's not a new sprint. You guys have been going at this for years, 3 to 4 years. But it's going really fast. I think you have your 11th location. You're going to have 20 by the end of the year. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not slowing down. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like this is going to go from like a small business to a medium business to a really big business here over the next 3 to 5 years. And it'll be fun to watch you guys. Vess Pearson was on this early. And Vess, when I first met Vess, CEO of Active Pest Control, like he was a really good salesperson that transitioned into a really good manager of people and then a really good leader. And what I've always, anytime I see Vess or talk to him both privately or publicly, something I acknowledge with Vess is he's found a way to transcend from being a good salesperson to a good manager to a good executive to a full-blown amazing founder and leader. Mm. And now he's leading, $1 billion plus company. And it's different skill sets every step of the way. So it's going to be really fun to watch you guys go from like, you physically laid the entire flooring for the first location, which that stuff is legendary. Like it goes down in like company legend, to having hundreds of locations and the differences of what type of leaders you're going to have to be to go, what type of teams you're going to have to build, what type of culture you're going to have to build, what type of stuff you're going to have in place to go have that type of organization. Those are all fun things. So excited to be a part of it. Grateful to be a part of it. Always cheering for you guys.
We're going to make you proud.
So you guys have already made me proud, but I'm excited to be a part of that journey and, you know, pump. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Casey.
This podcast is brought to you by Sandlot Partners.